Mr. Whalen reads!
Hi friends, it's Mr. Whalen here. I've brought you another story. The story I have for you today is called A Big Bed for Little Snow. A Big Bed for Little Snow. It was written and illustrated by Grace Lin, and it's a neat little story. It reminds me of something called folklore. Folklore are stories and tales that are told in different cultures that explain different things. For instance, one that you guys might know is Thor. Who's heard of Thor? Thor? We heard of Thor, guy with a hammer from the Marvel comics. Okay, Thor is actually really old, and he's part of Norwegian folklore. Okay, folklore from another country. And in that culture, they needed an explanation for thunder in the skies. Okay, thunder and lightning. So they made up a story about this man up in the heavens, this god up in the heavens with this mighty hammer, and when he struck his hammer it made big noise in the sky and it thundered all over. That was their explanation for thunder. That was folklore. They made up a story about a guy with a big hammer in the sky, and when he hits his hammer on stuff it makes big thunder. That explained thunder. This is kind of like folklore, but I don't think it's an actual folk tale, but it explains snow. Okay, it's a story about, wow, where does snow come from? Well, maybe there's folklore, maybe there's a tale that tells the story of something that happens up in the sky that makes the snow fall. Don't know. It's folklore. It's a story from another culture that explains something that happens in nature. So again, I don't think this is an actual folklore, but it makes a great little folk tale explaining snow. It's a cute story, it's got great illustrations, and it's my pleasure to share it with you. I hope you enjoy it. A Big Bed for Little Snow by Grace Lin. A big bed for little snow. When winter began, Little Snow's mommy made a big new bed just for him. Now you have warm feathers to sleep on, Mommy said. Then she looked at her little boy. Remember, Little Snow, this bed is for sleeping, not jumping. Little Snow grinned and nodded. That night, tucked into his big bed, Little Snow closed his eyes as Mommy kissed him goodnight. Thump, thump, thump. Little Snow listened to Mommy's footsteps fade away. Finally, it was quiet. Little Snow opened his eyes. He rolled off his bed and looked at it. His new bed was so puffy and big and bouncy. Little Snow grinned and then jumped, jumped. Tiny feathers squeezed out of his bed and fluttered down. Thump, thump, thump. Uh-oh, was Mommy coming? Little Snow flopped down on his bed. Little Snow, Mommy said, what are you doing? Nothing, Little Snow said, and he put his head back down on his big bed. In the morning, when Little Snow woke up, he listened for his Mommy's footsteps. It was quiet. Little Snow grinned and jumped and jumped. More tiny feathers fluttered down. Thump, thump, thump. Uh-oh, was Mommy coming? Little Snow flopped down on his bed. All winter, whenever Little Snow was near his big bed, he listened for Mommy's footsteps. If it was quiet, Little Snow grinned and then jumped. Sometimes Little Snow jumped small, soft jumps. Sometimes he jumped big, high jumps. Once, little Snow jumped so high and landed so hard, he made a rip in his bed. What a lot of feathers fell that day. When winter was over, Mommy came to clean out the feathers from little Snow's bed. But there were no feathers. Little Snow's bed was empty. Little Snow, Mommy said, did you jump all the feathers out of your bed again? Yes, Little Snow said, but he grinned. Aren't you glad? Now all we have to do is fill it again next winter.